All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Roofr Masterclass. I am your host, Pete, with my co host, Nick. And today we have with us Gabby from our product department. Gabby is our fintech guru, everything fintech. So we invited her on today. We have a really great topic to talk about. I'm going to cover some upcoming features that we have here on the platform that we're really excited about. And Gabby, her team on the back end has been working really hard to pump these things out. So really excited to have you, Gabby. Glad you could be here with us and showcase some of the stuff that you guys have been working so hard on. Just real quick, some housekeeping things. Just want to mention to everybody that we do have our Rise Tour starting next week. If you guys have not attended that, we did 6 cities in the summertime. It was a fantastic event. Very intimate, smaller group of contractors, some really great speakers. We will be in Savannah and Atlantic City next week on Wednesday and Friday. And then we will also be the following week, we will be in Charlotte and then in San Antonio to wrap up a 4-city tour here in the fall, heading towards RoofCon. If you guys can't make any of the Rise events, of course, we will have, half of Canada or half of our Canadian staff at the RoofCon event. Plenty of people to talk to. So be sure to drop by there and see us and come on and grab some swag and have some fun with the Roofr team. I think we're doing another Top Golf event there, Nick, as well. So
yeah,
if you guys were there last year and got to experience that, it was completely insane. I think we had about 250 contractors there, but hopefully
they shut down Top Golf and then
did.
alerted Atlanta Top Golf, which was the
That is
next Top
correct.
Golf that
Yeah.
we're at, that we were coming.
Yeah, Roofr is officially notorious at Top Golf. So be sure to join us for that if you guys are down there in Orlando for RoofCon. But before we jump into it, I guess the biggest thing here for us is just to kind of cover really quick, why go the route we did with the fintech side of things, what we're building currently and how this fits into the puzzle of everything we got going on. So Gabby, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself a little bit and then just touch on, why you guys started to build out all the stuff that you guys have recently been working on.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Gabby. I've been at Roofr for just about a year at this point, and I was brought on to build out our general invoicing and accounting workflows. So, a lot of what I'm going to be covering today is really with the hope to help bring all of your invoicing workflows into one platform. Talking to customers, I know it's like pretty dispersed between, you might use a QuickBooks, some people use Wave, some people use any number of accounting softwares, and they're not cheap. They don't come for free. And so a lot of times it's, a back office admin having to go through and manually recreate all of these records, pay for an additional subscription. And if they want any of their other team members to have access to it, it's yet another subscription fee on top of that. So the goal was really just like, how do we make it easy to use? You don't have to do a bunch of training. It should feel very similar to how you use Roofr today, all within one platform. So that way you can kind of manage it all in one place.
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously, unless you've been under a rock, that we're building a CRM. It's everywhere. We talk about it a lot. And, with the CRM functionality coming on strong here as we head towards RoofCon, we're just continuously, our team's working very hard on the back end to continuously pump out features to bolster that offering and, and really make the CRM a strong offering for you guys and move more and more closer to what, hopefully we want to produce for you guys, which is an all-in-one, software that will allow you guys to run your business inside of Roofr. And so, a major part of that obviously is being able to manage your finances and, take payments and create your invoices and all of those fun things that we do to collect money. So, this is a huge piece for us. And, we're really excited about all the work that Gabby's team has been doing.
What's really cool is like this is actually completing that entire workflow. So like one of our mission statements is always to be that all-in-one tool. So the software now has everything from beginning to end, from lead acquisition to creating customer job to measurements to proposals and now to invoicing and payments. You can close that job from end to end with one tool, one subscription, and just be able to transition it through. So it's really exciting. I've been excited for this for a while and the day's almost here.
Yeah, so I guess Gabby, touch on really quick where you guys are at in the process right now. What you guys have going on, and I know that you guys have done some testing, so just kind of give everybody an idea of where we stand with the financial side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So as of today, our core invoicing workflows are in an open beta. So anyone on the call that's interested in joining, you can always reach out to myself, Nick, anyone that you know at Roofr, and we can go ahead and get that enabled on your account. But in that core accounting, core invoicing workflow, that's going to include being able to create an invoice associated to a job within Roofr, add any number of line items with the granular details of quantity, cost, and etc. As well as customizing it and sending it out to your customers. So being able to have it sent via email, they can view it on their own personal devices. In addition to that, you're able to apply payments. So you don't have to use our integrated credit card processing solution, which we do have. But if you're receiving cash or if you receive check, you can track the balance of this in the Roofr platform. And so in the demo, I'll kind of show you how we make that a little bit easier from a dashboarding perspective. And then entering into a closed beta is our Roofr payments solution. So that's where we work with an actual payment processor to take credit cards and ACH through the platform. So I'll also show a demo of that, but the goal of that is to make sure that, again, you're not having to log into a bunch of different platforms, track payments in multiple places. You can create it, you can request it all through the Roofr system.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that, it's obviously the idea here is to, streamline the process as best we can for everybody. And, the next logical step for us was to add the ability to create invoices. Obviously, you're taking proposals, getting them signed. We have some material ordering stuff coming down the pipe. And, so obviously we want to put them in a position where everybody can close the loop, like Nick said, and be able to create some invoices. So why don't we dive into it a little bit, Gabby, and you can show us what you guys have been working on.
Yeah, for sure. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And right now you should be seeing the Roofr invoice settings page. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cool. So we'll start on the settings page. You'll notice that it's relatively bare bones. It's pretty simple. It basically on the settings page, this is going to be where you can customize your default memo and default footer. So to start, we just wanted to make it easy for you guys to have a little bit of consistency and templatize a little bit those invoices that you're sending out to your customers. So if I come in and click edit, needed to refresh before I started that. But on the invoice settings page, the default memo, I should have refreshed this page before I started sharing my screen. Sorry about that.
The best part about the lives is that there could be anything.
Yeah, we're doing it live. Yeah. I'll take a look at the editing workflow. But basically, you can see here that I've created a default memo. In this example, I said, if this is going to be covered by insurance, this invoice is just for record keeping, or you can include some basic payment terms like payment is due within 30 days of receipt. And then the default footer is where you can include some of your company branding. So in this case, I said, don't forget to leave us a review on Yelp, or if you have an Angie's List listing as well, you can include that there. So the default memo and footer are going to be copied onto every invoice that you create. But then within each individual invoice, you're actually able to customize it. So I'll walk you through what that looks like now. So I'll come into a job and open up any one of these jobs. I'll click 123 Fake Street and click the invoices section here at the top. As you can see, I've already created a number of invoices associated to this job. And we wanted to make it really easy for you and for your employees to kind of see at a glance what the latest status is for each of your individual invoices. So we don't limit the number of invoices. You can create any number if you want to do any sort of progress billing. So if you do 20% down, or you collect one final payment at the end, we do support those workflows. And you'll be able to see whether the status is paid. You can see in this example, it's partially paid, or this one's past due. And then at a glance, balance due, invoice total, and the invoice date. But for now, I'll go ahead and click create invoice, and I'll just create a brand new invoice from scratch. Here at the top is going to be your basic, company details. So you can see your logo, your company name, address, and then if you have a website, you can always add it, as well as the current status of this invoice. So right now I'm in a draft status, but I'll go ahead and click add due date and add in some line items to change that status. You'll see the job address was automatically copied over from that job that I just created and created this invoice from. And then we have a job customer and the billing customer. So if any of you are working with property management companies or a landlord-tenant situation, you might have a job customer and a completely different person responsible for paying a bill. So you can always maintain that workflow by saying that it is a different customer. And I can go ahead and change that right now. And I'll select Bilbo Baggins and click save. and you'll see that my billing customer is now updated. Below this is going to be where you add in your invoice items. Again, this is going to feel very similar to our proposals workflow. So we did want to make sure that you're not having to go through a bunch of new training with any of your employees. So they can type in, they can select items that are already existing in their catalog, enter in the cost and quantity as they usually would. And then I'll click save. And then similar to the proposals workflow, you can choose to edit your columns. So depending on how you are presenting this information to your customers, you can say, I want to show the line items total and quantity, show none of this information. So this is entirely customizable and will mimic our proposals tool. One thing to note, this is not present today, but it is something that we're going to be working on very shortly, is the ability to take an existing proposal and convert it into an invoice. We've heard a lot of feedback from our beta users that they like the invoicing workflows, but it's a lot of duplicate work to take all of your items from a proposal and recopy them onto the invoice. So that's something that we're working on right now to make it much, much easier. And again, just streamline this whole end-to-end workflow of a job from start to finish. Below this, we have our invoice notes. So as I pointed out, we have the memo here, which is going to be pre-filled based off of my settings, as well as the footer, again, going to be pre-filled based off my settings. But as I mentioned, these are always customizable on an individual invoice basis. So I can say, per our discussion, this is invoice 1 of 3. And this will only update this particular invoice rather than all of my invoices in the future. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility so that you can customize it based off discussions that you've had with your customers themselves. Okay. So now that I've added everything to the invoice, you'll notice that my invoice is now in ready to send. So we are not going to allow you to send an invoice that's missing a due date or missing invoice items. We do want to make sure that you're easily able to filter for invoices that are ready to go out to your customers, as well as make sure that you don't send anything out that is missing any of that core information. So now that it's in ready to send, you can either take payment or preview and send this to your customers. I'll quickly show what it looks like to take a payment. So I'll click create payment. And as I mentioned before, you don't have to be a Roofr payments user. A lot of our customers still like to record manual payments because it makes it easy for them to be able to track all of their invoices and all of their balances in one system. So for now, I'm going to click record manual payment. I'll say I took it as cash, and I'll say, $100 just to keep it easy, and click save. Now that I took that payment.
What I like about that part too is that you can label what that payment is. So in the description there, I could write in that was a deposit or that was any of those situations. That's such a great thing to have, because I know for me, when I was running my dad's roofing company, I would always kind of I'd have cash or checks. I'm like, crap, what was this for? So that really helps out with everything there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll also notice that the status of this invoice has automatically updated to partial payment. So you don't need to do any sort of manual work on your side. And I'll show you in a little bit how this impacts our reporting and our dashboard, so that way you can kind of easily filter for the status. But the other thing that I did want to show is the email workflow. So I'm going to click preview and send, and we'll generate the customer-facing view of this invoice. It should look almost exactly as the previous view. So you'll see, you have your job details, your customer details, as well as the invoice items. And then when I click send invoice, we're going to open up the invoice email drawer. So I'll say, please provide payment. And I'll also say, please provide payment here as well.
Just to make sure,
Yeah, just to, really hone in on the point. And then below this, you'll see the option to accept online payments. So we've heard from a number of customers when we're taking credit card payments and ACH payments, there are a couple of reasons why you would want to send this out by email. First, you're not always in person with a homeowner. Sometimes they're, away, or sometimes they're like, I don't really feel comfortable handing you my credit card. Is there a way for you to get an online payment link? So this is the workflow to accommodate that. So I'm going to say, yes, I do want to accept online payments for this. And you can choose which payment types you would like to accept. So you can say, I want to take both credit cards or ACH, or just one or the other. Basically, this is to give you and your back office a little bit more control, especially knowing that, credit card does come with a processing fee. So for certain tickets or certain jobs over a certain dollar amount, you can say, I only want to take ACH. For the purpose of this example, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like if you were to take both. But we do allow for that kind of customization. And then below this is where you can enter in the requested amount. So again, you can always request the full remaining balance, which we display here. Or we have heard a lot of people say, I take a 10% deposit on contract signature. So you can say, I'm going to take 10%. We'll automatically calculate that value for you. And you can say, I want to buy this Thursday. And I'll click send
That
invoice.
automatic math is so good. That's
Yeah,
going
we
to
don't-
save so many people time.
Yeah, I don't trust myself to do that math in my own head. So definitely no reason for us to ask customers to do it either. Yeah, so now that I've sent out that payment request, you'll see it displayed here on the invoice itself. So we show this little pending message, and it's not actually impacting the balance of the invoice. So let me show you what it looks like if I were the homeowner to have received this email. Probably should have had this open as well, but let me open up my... And are you guys seeing the email, or is it... Oh, I see. Oh, let me share this tab. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the homeowner point of view. So here at the top, there's this kind of big call to action. You have this much money due by this date, and this is the invoice total amount. And then the customer can say, oh, I want to pay with bank transfer, or I want to pay with credit card. If they scroll down, they can see all of the details of the invoice, plus any existing payments that already exist. If I click pay with credit card, we're going to open up our payment processing modal, and you'll see that the payment amount is already pre-filled, and they're not able to edit this. So it's just to remove any sort of accidents where customers open this and maybe add an extra zero or delete some of these values. We wanted to be pretty strict about making sure that you were getting paid the correct amount and that there were no mistakes happening on the homeowner side. In the case where, let's say, your homeowner is looking at this and it's like, well, I thought we said that it was going to be $120. Why is it $114? And they decide to give you a call. So let's say I give Lane Roofing a call with questions about this payment request. Me as a back office employee, I can come back and open up this invoice. We can talk through it. And then let's say, while I have you on the phone, it's like, oh, while I have you, can I just record payment right now rather than you hanging up and then going back to your computer and processing the payment? So in that case, you can click record payment and click collect payment now. And again, we're just going to open it up. You'll see that it's, whoops, didn't mean to close that. You'll see that it's pre-filled in with the dollar amount that we requested. And I'll go in and charge the credit card now. So this is going to be a fake credit card. So don't get too excited about copying this down for your own records. And I'll click charge card. And that is going to be when we actually send that credit card detail over to our payment processor. And we'll get a response, as you saw, very quickly. And once that credit card goes through, you'll see it's automatically added to the invoice. The balance due is going to be updated as well. And then if I view this payment as my customer, so I just tab back over to the customer view, you'll see the payment request is no longer displayed at the top of the screen. And instead, they see the successful payment down here. So we try to keep everything kind of in sync at all times. So that way you and your customers are looking at the same details to avoid any sort of, do I need to send them another invoice? Do I need to send them any sort of confirmation? Everything that they're looking at is going to be reflecting what you're seeing on the back office as well.
There's a couple questions here, Gabby, that I just want
to,
before they go too far up the chat and we miss them. John asked, will there be a pay other option? So for instance, if I send them, an invoice and say, hey, I only want you to pay 25% and they want to pay 50, can they actually adjust that on their end as the homeowner?
Not at the moment. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how often that comes up or what kind of provisions you would want to give to your customers. So I'll probably reach out with a couple of follow-up questions, but at the moment it's going to be pretty strict. You request 10% and they can only pay 10%.
And of course we have the question, our favorite question of the day, which is, what is the timeline of making this connect to QuickBooks?
Very good question. So at the moment we are investigating a QuickBooks integration as we speak. I would guess realistically, like the timeline is going to be closer to end of this year or early next year. I don't have an exact timeline, but it is very top of mind for us, and it'll be the first thing that we address after we kind of finish up these initial invoicing and payments workflows.
And one other question from John: is there going to be a text to pay option?
Not at the moment. I think, John, I'll probably just reach out to you and have a more in-depth discussion. Because I'd love to learn a little bit more about, like what you would like to see in that text message. I've heard feedback about like maybe generating QR codes as well. So there are definitely some options for us to streamline and like make it easier, but not currently roadmapped or prioritized.
Yeah, and we do have comms coming as well, and that will include some texting to the homeowner as part of our comms feature that's coming out. So maybe once that's available, then the text to pay option could be a little bit more of a potential possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the other questions I saw was there's two in there. The first one was, and I think you touched on it, but just to drive it home, building these invoices from a proposal will be a short follow, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. So we'll have that coming out there too. So it will map over. And then the other one is it's only with I saw credit card and ACH. And James, as a fellow Canadian, e-transfer is what we use up here. I know it won't be available ACH in Canada right off the bat, but credit card will be. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, and I believe that e-transfer is slated to go live with our payment processor by the end of this month. So it's entirely likely that by the time that we start onboarding our Canadian users, it's going to be there out of the box.
Sweet.
A couple of good questions have come up here, Gabby, around the amount. So the question is, if you send an invoice to a customer and that customer wants something adjusted, can you actually go and edit the invoice prior to them actually making a payment?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right. So that may help. I think it was Scott. I think there was a couple other folks, Renee, kind of mentioning the same idea. Like he said here, if you were to bill that customer for $114 and change, and the customer says, I want to pay you $120, we could potentially fix that on the invoice before they process the first payment.
Yeah, you are also always able to cancel a payment request and send a new one. So if for whatever reason there were errors or you do need to make edits, we are never locking you into that one particular payment request. You can just cancel it and send out a new one.
Sweet.
And when you do that, the customers can, they'll receive another email, but they can always just refresh their page and see the latest payment request.
So that would be, to answer Renee and Scott's question, that would be the way to do that. So if we sent it to them and we wanted to change the amount, we could just go in and create a new request right there at the top.
Yeah. So I can very quickly demo that here. So let's say I asked for $10. I need to actually make this a real email. And then it's like, oh, I realized that I made a mistake. So I can come in and press cancel request. You'll see it X'd out, and then creating a new one is the exact same workflow that I just went through. Cool. Any other questions?
No, I think we're all caught up.
Cool. Nice. So the next couple of things that I wanted to go over was with regards to kind of the table that we've created. So you'll see that this invoice is now in the partial payment status. And I did just want to call out again on the job page, you'll see this invoice that we just created now shows partial payment. Stu is going to be previewed here, as well as the invoice total and the invoice date. And then we also show this in the invoices tab. And so this is going to be where I believe like most team admins and owners are going to be checking on the latest status of their invoices. So here at the top, you can use these kind of quick filters. So I can say, I want to only look at my draft status, or I want to look at my ready to send ones. And this is just like an easy way for you as a business owner at the end of each week or at the end of each month, kind of whatever cadence you want, kind of come in and say, oh, okay, I need to go through and send all of these ready to send invoices. or I emailed all of these customers their invoices. How come they haven't paid? I'm going to look at all of my pending payment invoices. And so you can kind of go basically down the pipeline and look at each individual status, or you can see, like, if I select multiple, this list is going to update. And in addition to that, this search does work across all of these fields. So I can type in the address, I can do 123 Fake Street, or I can type in Bilbo Baggins, and we'll filter based off of any of the details that are shown here, or I can do some of the invoice numbers. So it's a fairly flexible search. And in addition to that, you can sort by the balance due. So let's say I want to look at all of my past due invoices and look at the ones with the highest amount of balance due, because those are typically going to be the highest priority for you. It makes it easy for you to kind of stack rank priorities. And that's about it. So kind of like during this demo, as I said, our goal was to make sure that you were able to close out that loop of, from lead to billing, creating those invoices, making sure that they looked well and presented well to your customers, collecting payments, whether that's, manually adding them to the invoice or doing it through Roofr payments directly, and being able to track those invoices through their whole kind of like life stage or life cycle. Mm-hmm. As Pete mentioned, and as some of the comments mentioned, up next is being able to take a one proposal and copy all of those items over to your invoices. So just kind of streamlining that workflow, making it much easier. And then we're also going to be working on our refunds and credit memos. So that way everything happens with an app. You don't need to have any questions around like, well, who's going to be issuing this refund? Oh, I need to log into some other app. Did this invoice get updated accordingly? So that'll all happen within the app as well. And then beyond that is going to be our QuickBooks integration. So those are the kind of next three major features that the team is going to be working on to kind of enhance this feature and make sure that it's really working for you and your team.
What's really cool is like how easy it is from different perspectives, from the job board, seeing what the balances due or what the amounts are out there with. From this view, I love that you could filter with multiple and then order them from like biggest to smallest due dates, etc. It's going to allow you to kind of keep on track of your finances, which is often the thing that we fail at the most in starting a roofing company. So I'm very excited to get this into roofers' hands and start seeing how they use it.
Yeah, there's a couple questions here, Gabby, that maybe you can just touch on really quick around fees. I know that, when we had processing in my former life at the CRM, that was a big one for folks when they were taking credit cards and, how to handle the fees and stuff like that. And, what is the idea here as far as invoicing goes and how that will work? Obviously, if we're taking credit cards, there's a fee to be incurred. How do you recommend people handle that situation?
Yeah, so I would say, our initial phase of credit card processing is not going to have any sort of pass-through fees. So I know a lot of other payment processors do allow you to say, oh, charge this to the customer, ask the customer if they want to opt into paying those fees. That's something that we'll be looking at the beginning of early next year. The way that I kind of view credit card processing and the fees that are associated with it is it's always beneficial to receive your money faster. And so getting that money in the door as quickly as possible, credit cards and integrated check processing is going to be the fastest way to do that. With regards to accounting for those fees, our credit card payment processor does make it relatively easy. So we're going to have, up-to-date funding status, up-to-date, like whether or not it's actually been deposited into your account at the individual transaction level. And they'll also kind of tell you like, these are, you were funded net the fees, or we're going to send you a statement bill at the end of the month. So they're able to work with you on like what the best workflow is for you and your company. But it is something that we are going to investigate, pass-through fees and communicating that to your customers. It just likely won't happen until after our QuickBooks integration.
Yeah, we have a question here that I think came in through the Q&A section, maybe saying, will there be, and I could probably speak a little bit to this as well. It says, will there be an automation available for a payment schedule or a reminder notification to follow up with partial paid invoices? And I think at the present moment, the best way to handle that internally would be when you have these payments set up, you can create tasks inside of the job with due dates, which would allow you to set a reminder so that, if you needed to follow up on a specific invoice, you could create a task for a specific individual, on your staff to go follow up, on that invoice and check on the status of it. So that would probably be the cleanest way to do it at this point internally.
Yeah, it's something that we would like to build in the future. So I think that feature comes in two parts. One is building with some of, I have no idea where those balloons just came from.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
We are that's how excited we are about payment processing.
I have never seen that before. So I would say like that comes into two parts. One is building with some of like the CRM automation in mind. And then we are also looking into invoicing templates and payment terms. So you can say, I want to create a template for insurance, which would have completely different payment terms than, any kind of retail job or something like that. So that's something that we're going to be looking into. And we'll probably build in two different ways, one for CRM and one for invoicing types and templates.
Yeah, a lot of questions about reporting here. Gabby, has your team given thought to, tracking profit and loss, or, someone here, I think it's Jake, asked about a 30, 60, 90, 100-day AR reports. I know we have the performance dashboard. Obviously, that'll eventually evolve into reporting, and financials are always a big part of that. So maybe you could touch on that just a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it's on our minds. It is not. We're building as quickly as possible just to get the bare bones functionality out there. As far as like, more sophisticated reporting, the way that I view that invoice dashboard that I demoed at the end with the list of invoices would be, when you're clicking through those filters, we would have a summary of like, this is how much money is in each of these buckets. And then you can have timeframes associated to that. So anything that's in past due that was created or invoiced in the last 30 days. So you can kind of get a little bit more granular with that. In addition to that, we do want to have like some CSV downloads. That way, you can import that into Excel or Google Sheets and kind of run any sort of reporting that you want. And then long term, especially as we build out material orders, is having all of this information kind of play together within the job costing. So there's a lot to be done there. We'll probably take what we call like a crawl, walk, run scenario, where it's like at the crawl, like how do we get some of this information just a little bit easier to find? And at the run end, it's like, okay, well, how do we predict how much money you're going to be making in the next couple of months, or how much money you're going to be spending? So that's all stuff that we're going to be investigating probably more in the second half of next year.
There we go. Sorry, I keep putting you on the spot.
No, it's fine.
Yes, Scott, to answer your question, we do have an incredible proposal tool that is part of our offering, and kind of at the heart of our CRM functionality here. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I'm sure you can have a chat with Nick or one of his salespeople, one of his AEs, and they would be more than happy to show you where you're at. I know you said you use it for measurements already, so be sure to check that out.
Sweet. I know a question came in the back end there, which will there be automation for payment or schedule reminders going forward? Did we have anything tied to that?
Yeah, that's the one I just said.
Oh my God, yeah, geez, my brain just completely shut off there. Again, it's live, everyone. It's live, so
we're just making sure we covered everything.
Yeah, there's so many that popped in. You guys are super active there too, so that's awesome.
Great. Hannah, thank you for the thumbs up there. Appreciate that, for saying that. We're doing well with that. We try our best to to listen to you guys as much as we possibly can, and make sure that we can get these features out the door as best we can, as fast as we can, so that you guys have what you need out in the field.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to look, like, I appreciate what you said, Hannah, and Pete and I were actually talking about this earlier this week. It's really interesting on how we kind of built everything. So we have different teams that are working on everything at all times. So we have a team for fintech with Gabby, we have a team for CRM, instant estimator, proposals, measurements, all that stuff there. So we're able to really get out the stuff that you need, the stuff that you want quickly. And we really live off these customer suggestions. So if you have any questions, please send it our way. If you have any suggestions, they go directly to our product team, and it's organized in some magic board that they go through. And that's what's part of I love so much about working at this company, and is we listen to you guys and we hear good information from people like John and everybody else there. So excited to kind of learn and do more with you guys. But I think that ties into our next question that we need, always looking for feedback. Renee says, is there a cost to utilize the beta invoicing program?
Yeah, so I can take that. So the invoicing feature that I just walked through is built into our regular subscription offering. So for Pro, Premium, and Elite users, this is going to be just included in your subscription. And then I think also kind of tied to that is like, when is this going to be available? So right now, the invoicing feature, we are looking for beta users. So if you are interested in joining the beta, you can reach out to like literally anyone on this call or anyone that you know at Roofr, and they can point you over to me. And I can turn that feature on for you today, tomorrow, really anytime that you're ready for it. With regards to the credit card processing, we are still in the process of ironing out all the details. So that's going to be a slightly slower rollout. But if you're interested in joining that as well, please feel free to reach out to me. I can always add you to the list. And then as soon as we're able to kind of open it up to additional users, you guys would be kind of like first to get it. And that doesn't come with any sort of additional monthly fees. There are just credit card processing fees associated to that, which we are still in the process of aligning on. But like our number one priority is making sure that we are like super, super market competitive.
If we look at it from like the point of what this company has done when we're talking about marketing, market competitive, is we really look at it as driving down the cost of your company, your day-to-day, your overhead, and streamlining your processes. So invoicing is not going to be anything different from that. We're going to make sure that we're here to make sure that it's not overcharging you, it's not undercharging you, obviously, but it's able to streamline and get your stuff, like Gabby said earlier, get paid up front faster. And that's what our tool is going to help. It's going to be able to quote faster, measure faster, proposal faster, and then also get paid faster.
Gabby, I took a list of all those that have asked in the chat for to be part of the beta, so I will pass that along to you. So that if you guys did put in there that you're down to be part of it, I threw you on the list here, so I'll make sure that Gabby gets your name and that we're able to get you guys hooked up. I did see one question in here, Nick, that you could probably jump on.
Ooh.
And that was from Michael. And Michael said, is there something like a PowerPoint presentation? Is there a presentation style proposal tool built in here?
Oh, is there? So one of the things that I think really is the core of the product, like Pete said, is our proposal tool. It's not just like a regular proposal tool that you'll see in a CRM, which is like a work order process. It is a proposal tool on steroids. So when you're thinking about PowerPoints, when you're thinking about the breakdown of everything there, that's what we have built in. And not only that, but our team, our implementation team, will build that process for you, that PowerPoint presentation, that workflow, and that's included in the subscription. So hit me up. It's nic@roofr.com. You'll see my name in the chat. I'll put it back in as well. But we can have that built in there. And BG, we also have financing integration with our good friends at Goodleap that goes directly in there as well. So it definitely works very well, and it shows the value up front to those customers with customized signatures, live doc, and all that stuff there. I'm attempting to type in my my email, but it keeps on doing @all. So for anybody who sees this, it says nic@roofr.com. There is no space after that @ it just the computer was taking over and just adding all. So
Yeah, Michael, just one other note too. We have a great series going on right now with Corey Combs, who is a user of ours, has done some incredible things with his proposal tool. He's hosting a 3-part series. We just did part 1 of it on Friday.
Yep.
Was kind of the inspection intake process, but the next 2 pieces of the series are the presentation and the proposal. And he'll be showcasing how he does that in Roofr. So keep an eye out for those. We'll be pushing out, some Facebook posts and things about those. And, that'd be some great insight into how he's utilizing the tool as a presentation style tool, to make his presentation, his in-home presentation, and also present his proposal. Nicholas, definitely on the roadmap. I think Nic can speak to the fact that the team is hard at work on entertaining the idea of a mobile app. So
we may or may not have talked about it today.
yeah.
But...
So definitely on the radar there. So we'll keep you posted there as we get closer to how that's going to work and what that's going to look like.
Cool. James, where are you in Canada? Just post it in the chat because I'm curious on how close. But yes, we love Finance It. They're one of our partners. At the moment, not through the proposals, but I can quickly show you how to like put it in as a hyperlink in your text and documents from your emails and everything. And then coming up with the instant estimator, you'll be able to add financing links directly in there as well. That's a secret. Don't tell anybody. You didn't hear it here. But I'm happy to help out. James, you're in Niagara Falls. Cool. So happy to help out all that information and show you how to punch that into your proposals. So you got my email there as well, James, nic@roofr.com. And happy to help out.
Awesome job, Gabby. Much for jumping on and showcasing invoicing. I think that you guys have done an incredible job with that. The flow is so clean and simple to use, and really mimics everything else so well that especially for our folks that are already using the product, I think it's just going to be so easy for them to jump on invoicing and be able to use it right away. Not something that's going to have a huge learning curve. It's one of the things I think we pride ourselves on here at Roofr. It's keeping the product very straightforward, simple, and clean to use. And you guys have nailed it with this. So,
yeah.
So I really appreciate everyone jumping on and taking a look at what Gabby had to offer today. And hopefully we will get you guys, like I said, I have a pretty sizable list for you here, Gabby, of folks that said they're interested in the beta. So I will pass that along to you. And, we will see you guys next time with the next great feature here on Roofr. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the next one.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.